What's in the box?
Hi, I'm Jamie, and this is the first episode of What's in the Box.
And I'm James. Great to have you joining us today. Jamie, what's in the box?
What's in the box? This week it is EDUtech 2025, which is hosted in Singapore and was, last week or 2 weeks ago?
When this goes out, it'll be about 2.5 weeks ago.
Yeah.
You and I were both there. And I think if we can just plug there as speakers. You were a speaker as well, Jamie. What were you presenting on?
So I broke quite a lot of people. I introduced automation to 42 educators and administration assistants from all over Southeast Asia, as far as Hong Kong to Dubai as well. I introduced them to a platform called N8N, which I've been using for the last 2 years to automate one of my businesses. Like I say, I broke a lot of people, but a lot of people saw the benefit of what it is. So overall, I think it was like a 50-50 success.
Okay, that's pretty good. I mean, most people, if people aren't aware of N8N, we want to tell us a little bit about what it does and why I use it. I know that, we've been working on it a little bit together. You've been helping me out automate a lot of my stuff at school. I'm still in the classroom for the remaining, I've got 6 months left on the clock, which is terrifying and exciting at the same time. You've left the classroom now. So yeah, maybe if we give people a little overview of what N8N is and how it can help them.
Yeah, I mean, I tapped out of the classroom about 5 months ago now. So I was using N8N to, it's kind of like taking away all the busy work that you've got in life. So if you are copying and pasting things in and out of ChatGPT and doing that multiple times a day or over the course of a week, then you can set up an automation which will do that for you. So a typical thing that we were doing was we were writing student reports. So in the last 18 months of my career, my entire department did not write a single student report to go out to parents. The system was set up to pull all the strengths and the improvements together. It then rewrote that into a lovely sort of format that parents want to read, and then it was just up to us to just to proofread it, just to make sure that what was in there wasn't saying that little Johnny is a fantastic pupil when actually you've been emailing home for the last 6 weeks going, little Johnny just will not sit still, will not do his work. So, we've got that human in the loop element there, so it's not completely automating what you're doing and creating AI slop.
Nice, yeah, and I think we've seen something similar with that. So I've been using it with people at work to automate their end of week reflections. This week I was running a course on leadership and project planning with people, and my kind of hook to get them to actually record things and do things on paper was to say, look, okay, I've used N8N here. Gemini is going to transcribe everything. It's then going to turn it into this amazing professional weekly reflection. And yeah, people really bought into that. It was great. I have to say there was a little bit of a worry there, and I think we're going to see this as a recurring theme when we talk about AI and the role of AI in education. When I was testing it, as you keep telling me, you've got to put in these testing loops before you roll it out. I said, okay, I'm a year 2 teacher. I want to toughen the kids up, so I'm going to put broken glass, barbed wire, baseball bats out in the playground, and just see what happens. And my action items: research how litigious parents are and stock up the first aid kits. Which I thought was, I had a lot of fun writing it. A little bit alarmed then when Gemini came back and said, this is a fantastic way that you're going to really introduce more resilience to your children. So yeah, I think as always, like you say, that human in the loop is really vital for making sure that we're not just validating things that are terrible and dangerous.
Well, all I'm going to say to that is that, I think it's onto something there. I mean, the kids yearn for the mines, right? I mean, why is Minecraft so popular? I mean, they just want to be in the mines mining. So let's bring back some of that child labor. I don't mean that. I'm not being serious.
Yeah, that is not the official position of what's in the box.
So I went around there. I saw you speak in 2 different venues on the EdUtech as well. So you were talking about data in one of them. Do you want to elaborate more? So
my background is a physics teacher, so I like numbers, I like data.
He's a great physics teacher, by the way, until it comes to the age of Ultron.
That is a subject for another podcast. We'll do an after hours episode on that because I still maintain I was right about the Age of Ultron. But yeah, so
you were wrong.
I love data, but it's one of those things I think, my role has changed over the years, and I've slowly pulled kind of more and more that way. But yeah, so I did 2 talks. One was on the main stage, but it was split into 3. It was a really odd experience.
Yeah, that was weird. That was like being at a silent disco, but it wasn't as much fun.
Anyway, people came in, they had headphones on, and they could choose between 3 seminars that were going on simultaneously. So I think I had about between 90 and 120 people in my audience.
Until you put that big line of code up on your screen.
Yeah.
And then a few people just went, yep, I'm out. Not a lot.
Yeah, people tapped out when
I'd
they
say
saw
about
code.
15 people at that point kind of went, yep, this is just gone over my head.
Yeah,
but everyone else was in there going, yep, this guy's on the right track. I think you've got the right crowd.
Thanks, man. Yeah, so the track we were talking about was data sovereignty, so owning your data. And I think, again, you and I, we've been around the block for a while now. We've worked with a lot of different vendors, a lot of different software and EdTech companies. And one of the things that is now number one for me if I'm assessing a vendor is, can we get our data back out again? Because we've seen, and I think it's a lot of people are getting better now, but for a long time you would put your students' data in, and then it would, they might do some online assessments, they might do whatever the product was there for, but you were trapped completely on their platform, and everything was another login for staff, and they would view that there, they would then view their behavior data in somewhere else. And if like most schools, I think, are saying, there are just too many logins, too many places. So what I've been sort of my mission for the last 5 years, particularly my current school, is putting everything in one data warehouse. So all the data's in one place. So so my first talk was about automating that. So there's kind of a lot of overlap there. Now, I am a bit wary of N8N still for that purpose, because it's N8N it's
been a hard slog. It's been a hard slog to get James around to see an N8N. I've been using it for 2 years, and I've automated 95% of my social media advertising business, and it works really well for that, because we're not worried about data security or anything like that, because everything is advertising, so it goes out there. Sure, we've got sort of agreements with people that don't go onto that, and that's kind of the 5 to 10% that isn't automated. But more and more is going down that route. I mean, Google have got their own version coming out in the next couple of weeks, so it's definitely the way forward. So.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's interesting seeing it. So I do everything with Python. So my talk was about creating data warehouses and creating these pipelines and using AI to help you with that. Now, the reason I really like that is then everything's stored into GitHub. You can view through it and you get that lineage there. But yeah, I think definitely thinking forward, I'm going to be looking at kind of the technologies that I'm recommending and the technologies that we're using there. But I think really for me, it was more the philosophy of saying, the way I describe it is, I want to go and kick where the data is. I want to be able to physically see it. And that doesn't necessarily mean on premises, although I actually quite like on premises. But it certainly means not in a vendor's cloud where they can pull the plug on you and cut you off from it. Even if you're using their platform most of the time, I think you've got to have an offline version somewhere. So that was my first talk. My second one was I was there presenting alongside Accelerus. So Accelerus are reporting...
Sounds like a Marvel superhero.
Do you know what? And it is a superhero of reporting.
Ooh,
yeah.
That was so smooth.
That was. Thanks, man. I've been working on that one all week. It's, and I think this is what we're going to talk about in a minute. I really like Accelerus. It does one thing, and it does it really, really well. It's all about school reporting and data collection. So it does all of your spreadsheets for you. Well, things that are in spreadsheets, it takes them out of a spreadsheet and puts them onto a proper database. And I think I'm more on the organizational side. And I sit between IT and the academic teams, and so I often receive the wrath of both. And a big one is constantly saying to people, please stop using spreadsheets. Please don't store student data in a spreadsheet, because you're coming to me and saying, hey, someone sorted this, and then I put all the scores in for the wrong way because it was actually sorted by this, and the filter didn't expand. Can you fix that for me? And
sorry, I'm laughing because I do everything in a spreadsheet.
I know. We've had chats about this, but if it's 2 people, it's fine, right? When it scales.
Yeah.
We've got 2,100 kids at our school and about 400 members of staff. So you can get away with it when you're small and you're scrappy and you're a startup. When you get to scale, you need a proper solution for this. You need integrity. You need to be able to do security on it. You need auditing. And that's what I like about Accelerus, because it's super simple. It's super simple for staff to use. You sit someone down in front of it. Heads of department are within kind of a couple of minutes going, I'm going to add an extra assessment in there. And then we were talking a lot about graphical reporting. And I think that's something that, again, is In an international school context, really important. If you think about people coming from a range of different educational backgrounds, they might have come from the IB system, which you were IB, right, for a while? Did you teach IB?
Yeah, I taught IB for like 2 years, yeah. No, 3 years. 4 years? I don't know. I taught it.
Yeah.
4. I'm going to go with 4.
Again, like I said, guys, we're parents of toddlers. We have no idea what we're doing most of the time. Our brains have turned to mush.
I mean, you also said super simple a number of times there. And if you're a parent of a toddler and you don't know what super simple songs are, just go on YouTube and it's going to save your life.
Thanks for putting that back in my head. I just about got it out. Thanks. But yeah, so one of the things that we really like about it as well is it does loads of graphics for us. So you can put like a target in and then a bar showing how far away a student is from their target. And we're finding a lot of traction with parents. So that's something that I'm still working on, but I think is probably going to be the future of how we try and make these conversations more valuable. Particularly now we're seeing parents, they get their child's report and they put it through AI, and it doesn't always make sense of it, especially if it doesn't understand, if they don't preface it by saying we're a British curriculum school, then it will start talking about GPAs and
this is something I've noticed as well. So I've come out of education now, and I've been to a couple of sort of AI panels in industry, and I've done sort of I've seen lots of industry talk about this, and having spent 17 years in education, the one big thing that is key across everything right now is AI literacy. Mm-hmm. It comes back to that. Everybody knows that AI is here. Everybody knows that AI is here to stay. Mm-hmm. And everybody knows that ChatGPT does something. But beyond that, people just don't know what it does, or even how to wield AI properly. And there's this massive gap in the market, which I'm hoping that I can fill, which is kind of why I'm doing this at the moment, to say to people, look, I'm here, I know about this, I know how you can wield it. And it's parents, it's students, it's teachers, it's people in industry. I mean, if I could teach someone in the last 2 years of their schooling right now how to wield AI in the way that I wield it, then they'll be doing that for the next 5 years. So when they come out their degree, you'll have this person here who's done the degree and can automate and use AI effectively without having the Australian government, for example, sue the company you're working for $400,000, which is what happened to Deloitte. Is it Deloitte? Something like that recently?
Well, there's been a few people. There've been lawyers that have been disbarred. Like it's happening left, right, and centre now.
Exactly, and it's because people don't know how to use it. But if you've got that student who's come out and they know how to use it, and you've got this other student who's done exactly the same, they've got the same grades and everything, that person who knows that automation and that AI and how to use it effectively are going to be leaps and bounds ahead of that person. And I know that AI is still that kind of, it's very, very risky at the moment in a lot of people's eyes. And the reason it's risky is because we're not teaching people how to use it.
Well, I think also there's a lot of confusion there as well around the difference between AI and AGI. And I think artificial general intelligence, the idea of computers actually understanding concepts, that's still as far off as AI was back in 2010. And I think a lot of people don't really see that difference. They don't see that AI produces very, very convincing slop, and certainly as someone that's still in the classroom, I see that all the time. It's really good at automating the boring, repetitive, the cleaning up text, but the understanding that still isn't there. Give you an example. I was running some training a couple of weeks ago on the GL suite. So GL, if you're not familiar with it, it's a platform that gives you students aptitudinal scores. So it's a bit like an IQ test, but more sophisticated. And I saw a history teacher just asking ChatGPT. And you read through it, it's like, oh wow, that sounds really, but that's not what that means. Like this is talking about Steinheim scores here, but it doesn't make sense because the statistics it's talking about are wrong. But you wouldn't know it unless you're already a subject matter expert. There's no way of discerning anymore, and I think we see that as teachers particularly. How do you know if a student's really understood it? Because they're often having a superficial understanding anyway. So it's like, are you just saying really nice rubbish? And without that subject matter expertise, it can be really hard to discern.
Yeah, I mean, it is that way. Like a lot of the criticism about AI at the moment is that it's taken away a lot of the critical thinking. Because I mean, when you look at what AI currently is in terms of what the majority of people use it for, it is a really, 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 really good Google search engine, because it will go through the first, I think it's 10 now, because Google has limited the amount of searches that can go into an AI. So it'll take, it used to be like 100 or 200. So it will take everything from those first 10 searches, summarize it, and that's how you get your AI modes, sort of like that AI summary. So it's really good at doing that. But the critical thinking actually comes in and how you apply the AI to certain aspects. So when you're looking at automation, you're breaking down the task that you are doing, and you're like, right, okay, I need to now get something to do this. And it's not always AI. Sometimes it's a formula that you need to put into a spreadsheet, but you need to know that. And then it can be a bit of AI, but you need to prompt that in the correct way. And because that does that formula thing, the AI then knows what to do with it. So you've literally got to think like, it's almost like Lego.
Yeah.
The Lego of how you make things happen and appear.
And that's certainly what that was kind of the key, one of the key points of my first talk at EdUtech, was saying, actually, if you use AI well, your life will be harder. Certainly cognitively, the amount of work you've actually got to do in your brain goes up massively, because, you know, as someone, I sit in both worlds. I write code some of my day. I don't have to go and interpret data now. Now, those days when I just write code, they're really relaxing. You know, you just sit there and mindlessly go, oh, it's still broken. Let's fix that. Oh, it's still broken. Let's fix that. Oh, it's still broken. But that's quite nice. I don't get those days anymore, because ChatGPT can code better than I can, provided I tell it what to do. So now I have to do the hard work of figuring out what it is that the program's supposed to do. And that's cognitively difficult. And then I have to actually interpret the data that's coming out of it and really think, okay, I now can spot these trends. I've spotted them a lot more quickly. I've got to do the hard work of actually teach them. And again, that's in between AI and AGI. The computer can't help me do that yet. It might give me some suggestions, it might give me some activities, but it can't really get into a student's head and understand it. Now, I did mention EdTech Asia a second ago.
All I'm going to say from James is that you just sound lazy.
Yeah, I am lazy. I thought that we were going to be free and we were going to finally become a leisure class, and I could spend my days I can't paint, so I don't know why I'm saying painting. Crafting
you
wood.
You could try and paint.
I could try and paint.
But
ChatGPT can do it better than I can.
I think this is the thing. Like I think if you can wield AI, automation, and a bit of coding together, it does buy you time. It simply
absolutely,
does. Absolutely does. And the thing that I always emphasize with anyone that I'm training up in automation or this sort of aspect is you are buying yourself time, not so that you can do more work. That's not the point here. You're buying yourself time so you can put more time into the work that is beneficial and important.
You're doing better work.
Yes, you're getting rid of the busy work and you're concentrating on, if you're a teacher, you're concentrating on curriculum development. You might, sort of be talking to that student that you don't have time to talk to. Or actually, you might just go and get a coffee with someone or text your mum.
We were talking about this again in our leadership pathway that I was running last week, where I was chatting to 2 heads of year and saying that, I think every teacher ever says we're so busy, but how much comes out of just those random corridor conversations? You go for coffee with someone and you think, actually, that's a really good idea, and that can be completely transformative to your practice.
Yeah.
Okay, we've really digressed now talking about AI, but we actually have a script, guys. We're a professional outfit.
We've done very little on the script so far.
Yeah, so we were supposed to be 5 minutes in, and we are currently 27 minutes in. So, EdTech Asia. I think we both came away, obviously, having spoken, but also getting around into the room, seeing the vibe, seeing what's developing out there. And we thought, as this is our first time, we're starting up, that we would talk a little bit about some other startups and kind of some of the underdogs that we saw last week. So, do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure.
Who's your ones to watch? And you can't say NAN. You can't plug your own session. I'm not going to plug Accelerus.
They weren't in there. They weren't there. I was there representing. Hopefully, I'll be an ambassador soon. That's my plug. No, they weren't there. My top one, and I what I love about EdUtech is the Mavericks, the people that you don't expect to see.
I think I know who you're going to say. You haven't put it in the script, and I bet I know what you're going to say.
It was Vitamins or Vitamines. They didn't actually say their name to me when I was talking to them because they were so excited about their product.
Are you just yearning for the mines again?
I'm yearning for the mines. Everybody yearns for the mines these days. Vitamines, Vitamidz. So it's got a Z on the end, so it's super cool, right?
Okay, yeah, Gen Z.
Gotcha. Yeah. Absolutely. But that was a trading card company. So there was absolutely no tech in this whatsoever. So they were a trading card company, and they'd done their research. Like the main guy who's there was so excited to tell me about this product. So if you think like Pokemon cards, they had gone down the Pokemon card route, and the only thing that they had was really technology based was their website. And on their website was the tutorials on how to play the game, and there's 5 ways to play the games. And the packs, the packs of cards came in topics. So the one that they were showing me was electronics. So you would play the game to sort of get a group of cards together, put them together, and it would make a parallel circuit. But then you flipped it over on the back was the explainer, like on 5 sort of explanations of what that was. But but they also had limited edition cards in there as well. So when you look at Pokemon cards, like some of those are worth like $1,000 and more. So if these guys kind of take it off a little bit, then in 5-10 years to come, that could be a similar sort of thing for these guys.
I think it's like a real utopian view, doesn't it? People fighting over knowledge and getting better. That's cool. I like that. Like you say, it's brave, right, to turn up to something like EDUtech with a product that isn't technology based. And I certainly see that a lot. You know, as you know, my official school role is digital innovation lead. So you know, I'm supposed to be the one that champions tech for everything, but I'm the first to say, I just throw a pack of Post-it notes out there. Like, why? I don't need Pear Deck if I'm physically in front of kids. I need a mini whiteboard. I don't need Padlet if I'm physically there. I need Post-it notes. And I think, sometimes it's easy to go, well, what's the tech solution here? What's the best thing we can do? It's like analog solutions actually are better in every way for some things.
Yeah, a bit of pen and paper works just as good as your iPad kind of thing. In fact, it works better. I mean, there's tons of studies out there that show that written notes and written text are better for memory recall and sort of taking that memory in, because there is some sort of link between muscle memory and your physical, your actual cognitive memory as well. So, and these guys, they had worksheets you could download and print out. That was the thing as well. They were like
dead tree. You say?
I
remember that technology.
You could do it on parchment with a calligraphy pen.
Dear Lord!
And he was so excited about that because they're a Singaporean company. He said parents want worksheets, that's what they want, so they can do that.
And I think definitely we need to talk maybe in a future episode a little bit about devices and getting the balance right again. Sort of both as parents, both as people that have kind of led tech initiatives in school. I think thinking about what is the right amount of tech to have in a school is. Well, let us know in the comments if that's something that you'd be interested in.
What was yours?
So again, like I said earlier, I like something that does one thing and one thing well. I'm increasingly wary of products that try to take over your entire school and try and get into every single aspect of it. And I quite like a modular solution, partly because my consultancy firm is going to be making modular solutions work together for schools, so I get to feed my family.
It's kind of like you thought about what you were going to say.
I know, right? The script's there. But no, genuinely, actually,
which we have ignored.
Which we have completely ignored.
For most of this episode.
Yeah, we'll get there. No, so the product I really liked, my favorite one was Bat en Route. It's a Spanish company, so there was a Spanish pavilion. Bat, yes. Some people are going to get that joke. Yeah. A lot of people are going to be confused by it.
Yeah, if you don't know, watch What We Do in the Shadows is a comedy series, and you'll get it. Bat en Route. So I'm guessing maybe it means something more punny in Spanish, but it's a bus tracking app. And I just loved it because it was just so elegant and so simple. It has an app for chaperones on the bus, and they can do the register as kids get on. And then it has geofencing spots along each bus route, so you can see in real time where your child's bus is. But the thing that I particularly liked, so it's not just that it's one app that does something really, really well. The thing that I particularly loved about it was their pricing model. And their pricing model was one where you could see that they were teachers and that they worked with schools. Because, again, if you work in EdTech, the bane of your life is per user licensing. Especially in a school like my size, I don't want to roll something out to the entire school usually. Maybe it'll be a phase. What size is your school?
We've got about 2,000 students.
That's big.
Yeah. Compared to some of the US schools, but a lot of vendors will say, okay, we're just going to look at your roll numbers and that's how much we're going to charge you, even if you're not using it. So Bat en Route, they charge you €2 per bus user per month. So it's only for the students that actually get on the bus. And I said, okay, but I've looked at it and I know this would be great for camp week when we send the entire school out. Does that mean I've actually got to subscribe to the whole school? And they said, no. The main thrust of the product is for monitoring day to day, so we're only going to charge you for that. If you want to use it occasionally for something bigger, we'll include that for free. And I just think that's someone that understands the market. They really understand what schools need, because I think especially people that come from the pure technology side of things and they try to break into education, we are both making terrible career choices because schools do not spend money on IT. There is not much money in EdTech. We have made a bad life choice. Seriously, like and subscribe. We need to feed our families.
We need to find sponsors.
Yes, if you want to sponsor us, who wouldn't want to sponsor this? This is top quality stuff. But no, anyway, and the other thing they did, they only charge for 10 months of the year. So they give you 2 months off. And again, it's like, I obviously haven't tried the product, and they're not sponsoring us, although again, Baton Rouge, we're here. So I don't know if it's actually any good, but I do know that this is clearly someone that has talked a lot to schools, and they understand what goes on in schools. And that's really refreshing, especially at something like, you have the big name vendors. Like there was a person that was desperate to get you and I in there about doing an AI in a box. And they were showing us their servers. Oh, it's an AI optimized server. And then he told me the price is something like $50,000. And you just got to laugh in this guy's face.
I'll take 3. I'll take 3 right now. I can't afford that, but I'll take 3.
Okay, so you're sponsoring this podcast now, right? And there's so many people, they just don't get schools IT. They don't get the schools budget. They don't get the scale of it. And so it's really refreshing to see somebody that has been there and done that. And speaking of that, what's your... I mean, we're not going to name names, right? I think because we do not have the budget to be sued. But without naming names, what would you say is what's the biggest miss that you saw at EdTech?
Ooh, biggest miss. I think overall it was, like you're saying, from it wasn't one particular company. Overall, it's kind of technology companies that are out there that, because teaching is such a weird industry. And a lot of people who have not been in teaching don't understand how teaching works. And a lot of vendors are like, oh yeah, we contact a lot of teachers all the time, but they don't get back to us and stuff. It's like they don't have time. They simply do not have time to reply to you. And like when you ask for like a 30-minute call for them, they're like, I don't have 30 minutes.
I've had vendors, and we'll talk about this next episode. I've had vendors just book me on my calendar before.
That's confidence.
We'll talk about this next episode, but yeah, it does not go well. Don't do that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was my biggest sort of takeaway, was that the companies that do have teachers working for them kind of get it. They kind of get it. And I suppose you've got to find this synergy, as someone said to me whilst I was there. I never thought someone would actually say.
We've got a bingo card for this. Synergy.
I was not expecting that word, but someone did say, let's see if we can find some sort of synergy. And I was like, that's a 90s word that I didn't think I'd hear again, but hey. But yeah, there has to be this kind of understanding what teaching is like, and it's getting worse. Like the teacher workload is going worse and worse and worse and worse. So yeah, a lot of tech companies don't understand how a teacher's life is. And, we'll talk about that probably in a future podcast, definitely. Because I'm 17 years, you're...
15, 16, I think.
15, 16, so we know what it's like, and that's why we've left. But yeah, I mean...
I still love it, by the way. I want to make that clear. I still love it. I want to be more effective on a bigger scale.
I would agree. I mean, for me, it was the fact that teaching became one of the smallest part of the job. And like everything else took over. So I still love teaching.
Which is why we've both run courses, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's why we're still teaching people how to do stuff. We've got this ability or this opportunity to kind of go, right, we know that this can make an impact. Yeah. But if we stay in our schools, it's not going to.
Well, you can make an impact on a small stage or a big stage, right? And yeah, I think for me,
I want the biggest stage. I want the biggest microphone, and I want someone to pay me for it as well. If you want to sponsor us, please get in touch.
I think actually mine is very similar though. Thinking about AI and the use of it as well. I mean, we're going to keep coming back to this, but I went to a dinner hosted by one of the vendors there, and they started as a sales pitch, and they saw very quickly this was a bad idea to try and make us buy it at that point, because it just wasn't ready, because they hadn't understood what a teacher's job is. So and I saw this, and it's not really unique to that company. There are about 5 or 6 different vendors there that were all promising, we're going to AI grade your work for you. And again, that dinner was really interesting, because I got into the minds of the development team, and they, fair play to them, they brought out their senior developers, they brought out their CEO, their CTO, all the C-suite were there. They'd invested a lot into it to getting this feedback, and I really hope it was useful to them, because what they kept saying was, we know how busy teachers are, we know you're really, really busy, so our product will grade 80% of your work for you. And it's like, well, no, guys, you misunderstood the point. Like, a teacher's job, that's the teaching and the planning and the marking, that is the job. Like, AI can make it quicker, but it shouldn't replace it, because where does that time go? What you're actually saying here is you're going to free up my time to do more things that isn't part of the core job of being a teacher.
Yeah, have some more paperwork. Have some more paperwork. Thank you. I'm so glad of that. You've made my day.
But it's also, again, it goes back to what we were saying earlier, right? Like, actually assessing student work and really understanding and seeing those gaps. AI's not there yet. It can flag things. And I think we were saying in the car, right? You were saying to me, it can do sentence structure, it can improve writing, but it can't get to the core of the idea. It can't say this is the flaw in your understanding.
Yeah, like it can sort of break down the rules of writing for you and rewrite something better for you. But in terms of understanding what you've written about, it really still struggles with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think, for me, the biggest miss on a lot of them was vendors that just, they don't get it. They don't get what the job actually entails, and they don't get where the cognitive effort is. And I think they don't understand AI. What was it? There was a vendor that you talked about.
AI literacy. We're back to AI literacy. The problem, nobody understands what it does.
Who was the guy you talked about, Notebook LM?
Yeah, so he was showing me an automation platform, and I just said to him, right, I've got to pay for this sort of thing. It was only a few dollars kind of thing. I was like, why wouldn't I just use Notebook LM? Like Google Notebook. If you've not used Google Notebook LM, go and use it. It's free. It's fantastic. And this guy went, what's Notebook LM? And I'm like,
and you're running it, and he's running an AI company.
Well, he was I think he was the second in charge kind of thing. It was only a small company kind of thing. But I'm like, and I showed him what Notebook LM was there and then. So it went from a sales pitch to me training him in like this fantastic free piece of software that comes from Google that does so many things, and it just changes your life when you use it. And I'm like, that's free. Why would I pay $10 a month for yours, and I've actually got to try and put it together?
But again, it just shows these companies that it's almost contemptuous sometimes that they don't know what their audience is, and they don't know the industry that they're in. Which is probably a good point to leave it, right?
Yep.
Because I think we've covered our script, we're way over time, and we're going to be talking next week about vendors and about the relationship with schools and some do's and some don'ts that we've seen over the years, that if you are a tech vendor, if you're in that space, some things that might help you out as well.
Yeah. So can I just summarize what I think you've said today about EdTech? Is that you like educational technology apps and stuff that whole-arse one thing and don't half-arse many things.
That puts it perfectly, yeah. Do one thing and do it well.
Yeah. I agree.
Cool. Thanks, man. All right, please like and subscribe so we can make more content like this.
Share, comment, do all the things the social media people do. I don't know what social media people do.
Do those things that I'm sure you guys know better than us. And we'll see you next week.
What's in the Box is a production of Swallow the Frog and Green Pen EdTech. For
What's
more
in the
from
box?
us, check us out at swallowthefrog.today or greenpenedtech.co.uk.